So our next challenge is from Eva Moraga, who is going to ask us, are international and national copyright laws a barrier to digital humanities? Again, I think this is a very important question.
A ver, ¿dónde está esto?
Great.
Hi. So I'm a lawyer, and I teach in the expert degree in Digital Humanities that is given here in the university. So this year was the first year, and I had the opportunity to oversee a lot of digital humanities projects. And because my intention with my students was to encourage them to reflect on the copyright issues related to their project. Because, sorry.
Yeah, the slides.
Yes.
There we go. Oh, down there.
Yeah. Sorry. So, because when you are interested in some works, art pieces or books, novels, theater plays, you have to be very careful because you are dealing with other people's rights, and but at the same time you have rights over your work. So there is always this dilemma between their rights and your rights. And it's very challenging to try to find a balance, because always copyright is a hassle when we talk about others' works. Oh, it's so difficult to get the permission to use this work. Oh, it's so expensive to have to, and it's so unfair to have to pay for licenses. But copyright is my right. Copyright is a right when I talk about my work. So I find that sometimes people are very tolerant with, well, we can jump over the laws, if I can say that in English, when we are talking about other people's rights. But of course, we are not allowing others jumping over our rights. And sometimes I find that people say, well, we don't know the law, therefore we avoid it. It's so complicated, it's so complex. So sometimes students and researchers propose some projects that in the real world couldn't be accepted because they are not respecting the rights of others. And we have different problems and very, very difficult problems to solve, and they are not being solved in the European Union either. For example, in every country there is a copyright law. And even if the European Union has tried to have a common copyright law, and there are several copyright directives, it has been very, very difficult to get an homogeneous picture all over Europe. But furthermore, there are other international copyright laws in other countries outside Europe. So if you want to work with works that belong to authors, artists in different countries, and you want to put your project on the web, you will have to respect hundreds of copyright laws. And you have to be able to handle with all the issues related to these works. I don't know if you have faced these kind of problems in your project. I would be very interested in knowing more about what kind of difficulties you have faced. And you say, yes, but we love these works, we love these authors, and we want them to be known So we are researchers. We are the people who really love and who want to share these wonderful artworks, literature works, etc., with the rest of the world. So we should be able to do it because we love them. Yes, but these authors have to live as well. And you are using their works. And they are getting money because of these works. Their living is at stake. So there is a kind of dilemma as well between the fact that you can work with old works. They are not under the copyright law. They are available to you freely. But there are the new or the not so new artworks or other kind of cultural works that are under the copyright laws. So are digital humanities projects limited to old works due to copyright works? This is one of my first questions for you. Are digital humanities projects on contemporary works economically possible? Is this open access mindset fair for authors and even for researchers? Do you have some good practices for dealing with copyright issues in your countries? Are these copyright issues thought or reflected on the academic administration? And where do you get resources, economical resources, to deal with this, with copyright fees? Do you apply for funds to pay licenses? And these are my questions for you. I open the floor for reflection. Thank you.
Excellent. Some great questions there. So, who's going to have a go at commenting? Who has any thoughts or answers to those?
So now you are afraid of
Yes, yeah.
putting your project on the
So
web.
we won't tweet your response, so that you're not legally in any danger here. You can speak candidly. Great.
I just went to your webpage to have a look at this Pori Para, and I've just had a glance. I didn't have time to look it thoroughly. Are you consulting about that?
Yeah.
Okay. Could you tell us more about it? How do you do? How do you? Thank you.
So what I propose to my students is to have a copyright plan. Okay? So you have to answer different questions about what works are you going to work with? Who are the authors? Are they alive? Where are they living? Or where do they come from? And etc. etc. So of course I consult with projects, but it depends on the kind of project, the kind of questions I have to ask you. So the first thing I would propose to you is to analyze your project from the copyright point of view, and to know very well and to know deeply how you are going to use those works and what you want to do with them at the end of the project. So what is the purpose of your project, and what are you visualizing about the future of the outcome of your project? Because if the outcome of your project is going to be a very small database that is going to be enclosed in your department in the university, you don't have to make any questions to yourself, okay? But if you are planning to make your project public on the web, you are going to have a lot of problems that you have to foresee before putting your project on the web, because otherwise you will have many issues with collective entities, entidades de gestión, these societies, copyright societies in Europe or abroad, and even the authors or the publishers, etc.
I think many countries, if you get public funding, your research has to be open for everyone afterwards. What do you think about it?
Yes, that's a question I was talking a little bit about in the first challenge session. Because it's, if you are working for a public institution, as normally the universities are, not all the universities are public, of course, but if you are working for a public institution, and if you are receiving a salary for your work, because you are a teacher or a regular researcher at the university, it's not a problem for you to provide your work open or in this open access area or realm. And of course, you are interested in making your project visible and known by everybody. So for researchers, it's normal that they want the projects to be open, but they have to take into account that for artists and authors that are alive, or even for families of these authors and artists that have died, but the period of 70 years has not passed, this copyright is a money source for them. It's their way of living as well. So open access is nice, but maybe it's not fair for living authors and artists. So this is not my opinion, it's only a question. Is it fair to force everybody to be open? And you should be, if here maybe there is no such a problem, but in the domain of the industrial property, patents, trademarks, etc., if you make a project open, you cannot register your project as a patent. So I don't know how in the science departments are dealing with this problem, and this can be a problem as well for you working with technology in your departments. If you want to register your project as a patent, if you have made the project open and public before.
This is totally brainstorming, but I wonder if it already exists, or if in fact, if it doesn't, we should be thinking about creating some kind of crowdsourcing platform by which an author has the possibility of register herself into the platform. Something like, you know, in the United States, but I'm sure in Europe too, in your ID, if you are an organ donor, you actually have a heart that says, you know, if I die, you can do whatever you want with my heart or with my liver. I wonder, you know, if you could be an author with a star that says, you know, if you want to use my stuff for your project, please do, or no, don't. And, you know, maybe, because I'm sure that there are plenty of authors around who, between getting, I don't know how much money they get for their copyright and being featured on a project, they would rather be featured on a project. I don't know, this is my sense.
The question is if the researchers are interested in every author, or in particular in authors that are very well known and that they have prestige. So, and there are a lot of artists that are making their work available through Creative Commons licenses, but normally these authors are not, or they don't have a very recognized career for the moment. once they become famous, things change.
I think it's also worth mentioning probably that in many cases the publishers, this is a big difficulty, is that the minute no one will publish them if they think that having been published they will then give away the copyright for free.
Mhm.
What is very similar to the music one, right? I mean, if there is Spotify, then it be Literatify somehow. You know, same idea.
It will be interesting if many of these things work through, say, subscription formats, say, in the way that Spotify or these kinds of technologies.
The point of this kind of stuff is that you don't have them. You just use them. No, I think with Spotify, for instance.
Right, you don't have them.
Right.
Well, which is not bad at all.
Yeah, I just want to mention two things, that this idea of open access and this, as you termed, like the mindset of open access, like open access is initially a business model. It's like somebody pays for your article to be an open access. So probably we have to rethink about the term, open. So we need open use, we need open access, as Elena said it, so open I just want to use it. I don't want to reproduce it, but I just want to see it, for example, in my screen. Or, for example, I want to be open to use it and reproduce it and like further process it in my own research and blah, blah, blah. So like different levels of openness, I think it's a nice way to start thinking of things. And second, I think the idea of copyright and the issue of licensing has to be one of our primary concerns. And regarding to all components of our digital project, because we don't use only primary material that we have to use about the copyright, but we also use, for example, software, hardware, all these kind of things. So, we're just dealing with copyright about our primary material, but as you say, it's multi-layered, like copyright and licensing.
Yep. One more, yes, and then we'll, the last,
Just a comment concerning software and patents. As far as I know, in Spain, if you have a method, an algorithm, and you publish this in a journal, conference, whatever, you cannot patent this. So somehow, if you live in academia and you want all these idea of open access and science is for everyone and blah blah blah, then you cannot make money from this. So sometimes I feel that it's mutually exclusive, or you are in the dark side or on the bright side. Yeah, it's something like this. So as far as I know, software cannot be patented, at least in Spain. In the US, if someone is from there, please correct me. I've heard that you can publish something and you have some months, few months, and then you can patent this. If it's more than, I don't know, 3, 5, 7, I'm just guessing, then it's out. It's everyone can use this method and do whatever they would like to do to create their own software. So somehow I think that if internationally, I don't know the law in my house and my home, so just guess what's happening in other countries, but somehow from the international point of view, if we don't play with the same rules, I think that we are somehow, it's a bit unbalanced. That's just
That's my point. There should be a network of lawyers advising digital humanity projects. That would be the only way to have an overview of all different laws applying to a single project, because otherwise it's very difficult. And patent law does have nothing to do with intellectual property law. So yes, copyright law.
We're going to have to finish there, but thanks again. That was really, really fascinating. Thank you.